Yeah, hello, people, dear followers of my channel and from time to time visitors. Well, you see here in the background Steel Division 2. In the title, you know why. Also, I want to get some information out regarding this channel and why I was not uploading the usual flying stuff. Well, yeah, the thing is, I have a new work. Since 10 months, I'm working 240 hours in night shift and day shift and short changes and whatnot. And working 12 hours means you are on the way 15 hours. I have other responsibilities also in my spare time. Social life is down. So blah blah blah. This was really hard. The thing is, yeah, I will decrease it. So in the autumn, in the fall, so I'm able a little bit more to get back to my passion, IL-2 Great Battles flying, and with the new computer I will buy in the next 1 or 2, maybe 3 weeks latest, I will be able to play it because IL-2 was not uploaded, was updated a lot in the last years. My 10-year-old computer cannot handle it anymore without lags and stuff, and I want a bigger monitor. So 19 inches of monitor size were large 10 years ago, but yeah, such things. Okay. Um, what is not lagging, like IL-2, is Steel Division, and in my very few hours of spare time, when I'm able to connect with digital yeah, games and friends and having a good time, I was playing a little bit of Steel Division. So I want to go this route in the future also. I'm going back to IL-2 Squadron video after action report, so to say, if we have a good or bad mission. Yeah, and focus my work into the squadron because this has to be managed too. Anyway, that's the information out for now. But as the title says, yeah, you're here for Steel Division. I hope the other information to other people who are not interested in Steel Division is getting out too. As this is said now, let's move to yeah, the content. Um, let's yeah, where is it? Here is it. This is the deck build guide and my idea behind it and how to, in theory, I will make some games with it. So you maybe it becomes then how to in the practical way too. Yeah, the thing is, the last how-to or deck build guide is over 1 year old of the 20th Panzer Grenadier Division. It's rarely seen. Yeah, it's really rarely seen nowadays. There are some reasons for that, I guess. Let's dive into it. And also let's dive behind the idea why I created this deck as you can see it here. For example, it was, I mean, some things were changed, right? Flak feelings, for example. Flak feelings were changed, were increased in their strength several months ago. But also, the elephant was decreased or increased in price, let's keep it like that, from 180 to 245 points. That's quite a lot. That's really expensive. I don't know if there's many other stuff out there which is this kind of expensive. But what is was also increased, right? Earlier it had the speed, the off-road speed of 18. Now it has 25. You can, I mean, that's hell. It's fucking slow. Let's be honest here. It's fucking slow. Mm, other than this exotic units, like let's say, as you can see here, the T-34 chassis with the flak feeling on it, or the Panther chassis with the flak feeling on it. You can both bring them only in A. This is an exotic unit. Of course, the elephants are some exotic unit. Also, the Stuk 4 is not so much presented in other divisions. This for sure I know is not presented at all in other divisions. This is some leader tank unit, Panther chassis with the Panzer IV turret put on it, right? Okay. What else is very unique? Let's say you have this modified supply tank. It's a modified Panzer III chassis, so it's armored. It has supplies of 1000. This is also very exotic. This the Tiger Porsche variant. It's as a commandant, battalion commandant basically. Also very exotic. You can bring two of this T-34 modified versions. It will also bring supplies. It's better armored than the modified Panther III chassis. But it has even 5,000 more supplies, so 15,000, that's not low by any means. Yeah, why exotic? Why you should pick it? Because if you don't pick it, there's the point to play this division. You have the generic stuff, IG-18s, Pioneers and stuff all over the place in most divisions. So that's the reason. Yeah, you can if you take a 20th Panzer Grenadier Division, then you have to pick it. Otherwise there's no point in it, right? What comes down to this division is basically this: you have to keep an eye on your economy, on your points. I think that's the reason why people don't play it. And let's be honest, you can. Of course, you can shine with every division if you're good enough. I don't pretend to be an expert on this game. I don't have enough time to play any game these days. But what I notice, and I've fallen a little bit in love to this division. I like it. But of course, it's not handy for every situation, every map, or every game mode. In a 1 versus 1, you can easily get overrun because the things which have an impact on the battlefield are very expensive. Even in a 2 versus 2, it's a little bit doubtful. In a 10 versus 10, it can shine, yes, but 10 versus 10, it's just a cramped, crowded playstyle. Yeah, it's some kind of its own thing, I guess. The best results I have played in the multiplayer mode, 4 games with the 20th Panzer Grenadier Division, in 3 versus 3 and 4 versus 4 games. And I was quite successful with this. Of course, you have to communicate with your team members. In the beginning, in the chat, the best is of course if you have people who you are playing with on regular basis, and you are communicating on TeamSpeak or Discord or whatnot. Why is that? Because they have to cover you in the beginning, in the A phase a little bit. What means a little bit? At least maybe the half, but at least a third of points. At least a third of points in the beginning. Let's say you have 750 points. It's such a game for the deployment in the beginning. You cannot spend all 750 points. You will not come out with all the brute force, and this is a brute force you can use to your advantage and the advantage of your team, and possibly to the road for victory. yeah, they have to cover you a little bit in the beginning. In the beginning, you bring out the usually stuff like every other generic division brings. You have your IG-18s, you have your machine gun groups or troops, a PaK-40, of course your pioneers, your Panzergrenadiers, Spätrupp, yeah, that's the thing. And you have to hold out, and you need maybe a little bit help, maybe not. It's depending on the situation, on your opponent, of course. But this composition is really good. I was tweaking around a little bit. For example, when it's a map with a lot of dense forests, then you even should not pick it, but then you can take maybe the Panzerschreck over the PaK-40s. Anyway, let's go a little bit more methodically down here, beginning from the recon section down to all sections, and why I made it like this, why I created this deck like this, and why I'm going with higher veterancy on some units. As I were hinting a little bit, this division is shining on 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4. You can be good in 2 versus 2, of course, but yeah, they are in the former they are the best. This division is the best. So the recon section is very meh. You have you basically Aufklärer units. Nobody is taking the Kfz-4. I get it. Why you should? When you have the availability of some recon Kübel vehicles with some mounted machine guns on it, so they are not disappearing. They have the recon trait, like here, and yeah, you can double basically your recon sections. Now we have 3 in A phase, 6 in B phase. These are 9, but with each comes with some Kübel, so you have basically 18. And you need some mobile reconnaissance. You need it later for your tanks if they're moving. They're moving slow, but you need them. People are sometimes taking this over the Spätrupp. I prefer the Spätrupp because I want to be able to shoot on some ranges back. Usually you give the order for return fire anyways for your recon infantry stuff if it's not designated fighting force like Fusiliers, what we don't have here, right? Stoßtrupp, what is the Stoßtrupp? The Stoßtrupp is a half squad, so just 5 men, all with submachine guns. So in close quarter combat on 100 meter ranges, they're really good. 105 meters and you are fucked. We have Molotov cocktails, so yeah, in forest they can do okay. In villages and buildings also. I bring them in the limited available limited Horch vehicles. They have 90 kilometers per hour. Mostly you want to be fast with this one. Other than that, here the leader unit, Pioneer leader, comes in Opel Blitz, 80 kilometers per hour. Nothing special, just the leader unit to boost up your infantry veterancy. So as you can see, all of them are coming with a minimum of 1, and in C phase the Panzergrenadiers are coming on the highest veterans level. Anyway, the Pioneers are equipped with the Geballte Ladung, that's some HE big grenade. It makes a big boom and it can destroy squads, it can wipe them out. They are more or less also, it's a emergency measure for close quarter combat if you are getting overrun by Tesandotniki, or how this Soviet Bolsheviks are called. Also in A phase, the other card is Panzergrenadiers with 2 machine guns and 1 Panzerfaust. Very handy if some transport is driving by. B phase, I take basically the the much cheaper variant of the Panzergrenadiers with the DPs, without Panzerforce, without anything, just 2 DPs. And yeah, 2 DPs are better than 1 DP or 1 machine gun basically. Yeah, nothing to say nothing more said about this. Also the Pioneers, the same game, so to say. In C, I could of course bring 24 in, I guess. Yeah, no, 18. Okay, that's the curve, 18. But I bring 12 on the highest veterans level because of the economy. Keep in mind, as I said, you have to watch out about your economy if you're playing this deck. If you play this deck on a more or less open map, you can rule there really. If you play clever and in combined arms way. Also unique, what I didn't mention earlier, is the Stück 4. It's not that unique, but I think maybe 1 or 2 other divisions have the Stück 4 too. And yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, 85 points, and it has a little bit more frontal armor. So good units. Stücks are always great in my opinion, and you can even booster them up with the higher veterans level because of this interesting and unique unit. So it's quite fast. It is more or less okay armored, better than a Panzer IV, a little bit less than a Panther, because yeah, in the frontal armor everything, the turret and the frontal of the chassis is accounted for. So the average value then is here, 105 millimeters of armor presented. You see in A phase I have for tanks nothing in B phase, but in C phase again, and also in the highest veterans level. That's some occurring theme here for that. So it's the same, and there's a reason for it, because you don't have the points to bring out more Stücks in B or C phase, because in B you want to have the elephants. You really want them. Okay, let's go for the support section. Infantry Geschütz 18 also comes in the 90 kilometers per hour fast transport Horch. Also the heavy machine gun group. Basically, this is I think the only unit without any veterans level, because here I need the numbers. I had not any activation points or some slot over. Yeah, it is what it is. That's war. That's okay. Okay, so you have the commandant here, the battalions commandant, as an infantry variant, and also this Tiger from Porsche. Yeah? In the end of the deck building video, I will say maybe 1 or 2 minutes something about this Tiger Porsche, and more about the Ferdinand / Elephant, how it was later called. In B phase, yeah, why not bring the infantry gun 33 with the 2000 meter range in A phase, because you want to be fast with the IG-18s, therefore you have just 500 meters less range, but that's okay. Anyway, you can bring them in rather slow transports anyway, so why not bringing them in this armored Panzer III variant with supplies. So this is a little bit more handy than the Opel Blitz. Of course, the Opel Blitz supply truck is faster, but it's unarmored. More often than not, they explode somewhere on the way to the front line in my case. So that was the idea behind it. I forgot, yeah, the Pak 40 is also without any veterans level here, because I need the numbers maybe in the A phase, because you have to survive in the A phase. The only heavy stuff you can bring out in A phase is 2 Jagdpanzers, Jagdpanzer 4 and 3 Stück 4. Yeah, Jagdpanzer is actually quite good with the 130 mm of frontal armor. A good old Pak 40, so to say, here mounted on it. However, but you have to survive the A phase, and you cannot spend all your points on the deployment in A phase, because you need to save up for the B phase. In the B phase, some more Jagdpanzer 4 in total for the B phase, and one other tank hunter platoon split it in B phase, 2 in B phase, and 2 in C phase. So it's really expensive. So that's the reason why you have to save up. But look at this thing. 190 millimeters of frontal armor on range. These things are basically indestructible. Of course, it can happen, right? And it happened to me too. But mostly, if you let your tanks turn left or right, have some enemies popping up here, and then he's starting to turn. If you don't micromanage it, so then he is offering his more weaker side armor with just 95 millimeters of armor, and then it makes plop, and the thing is just dust. So basically, what you want to do on some more or less open field, you can neglect a complete area of attack against the enemy. For example, if here's a building, and you drive the thing there, so it can only shoot on the things in some degrees here. So you're only offering them the heavy 190 millimeters of armor. You have to plan ahead, also with these things, because they're not so easily destructible for enemy tanks. The enemy is trying to knock them out with anti-tank planes, for example, anti-tank gun planes or anti-tank bomber planes with the little neat cluster bombers. So that's the reason why you need also this exotic unique unit here. They only come without veterans level, so yeah, but the flak feeling, as I said before, it was recently buffed. It's great, and it's a little bit armored here, the flak panzer panther. So 80 millimeters of armor. If you keep it a little bit, if it's hanging around a few hundred meters, hanging around in some more or less safe area, then your elephants are very safe. Of course, you have to bring up on the battlefield also your other network of AA, yeah? Like the usual flak 20 millimeters. Unfortunately, not coming in some or with some additional flak towing unit, but you don't need. You have those two great pieces of anti-air. Also here the 37 millimeter, 4 of them in B phase, it's quite enough. And here, as I showed before, yeah, with supply chassis of the T-34, 15,000, it's a little bit better armored to long range 88 millimeter anti-air guns. Yeah, because there was no slot free, because I run out of points, as the usual treatment of this goes that yeah, you take other leaders to from for the infantry warfare from the artillery section here. Nothing special. Opel Blitz. Artillery is okay. Yeah, it's okay here, but I don't need so much. You need maybe for smoking up your own tanks for protection if something pops up very fast, very dangerous, very near, maybe on the side, or if you want to advance. So you have this right from the beginning, because why not? Just keep them alive. It's only 3, and you need maybe the smoke later on. Yeah, and to shock or stun enemy troops and forests, anti-tank guns, and so on, if you want to advance, maybe. Quite notable here also, I don't know if it's a unique unit or if other divisions have it too, but I don't take it. It's 180 kilometers per hour, this artillery observation plane. Yeah, and the artillery is off-map artillery is it's okay, but yeah, yeah, maybe I will swap it in, but actually I need all of this. Yeah, let's go over to the Air Force section. You can see here everything I'm bringing in is on the highest veterans level possible. Yeah, because we have such a great anti-air network there with the flak panzers. However, that you don't need the numbers on the plane, so why not bringing them in a higher veterans level? That's increasing their resilience against enemy flak, and also yeah, they are turning a little bit tighter, and they're aiming faster and better and such things. So the 109 G2 variant, 3 pieces of beautiful German engineering and the A-phase, and 2 of the G6 variant with 30mm and the cannon and the 13mm machine guns behind this propeller spin mounted. Not that much slower than the G2 variant with the 620 kilometers per hour. Also, I wanted to, or I tried out actually, I wanted to keep the Stuka. Everybody who knows me from the IL2 community, I'm a Stuka lover. Yes, I adore the Stuka for various reasons, but it was not working out here. I want to go fast in with the fighter bomber variant here of the BF 109, as you are fast in, you are fast out, and the faster you're in, the faster you're out, the less time you spend in the enemy flak hour. It's the same principles as in yeah, IL2 Great Battles, the flight simulation applies here. Yeah, the thing is how you play it. You have to, if I didn't mention it again, keep an eye on your points. You will rely on some help from your team members. Don't play it in a 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2. You can, of course, you can be also successful. I don't think it is. The most success, I only played 3 versus 3 and 4 versus 4. It was quite okay if you communicated. Because you want to boost up all your heavy tanks. It's making this brute force even more deadly. You need this for your Stuk force. For the Jagdpanzer force, definitely the leader or the commandant unit for the anti-air section. The anti-air section you need to keep these things alive, and with them you can quite rule the long-range battlefield. Yeah? For covering, if you have to pass through some forests or some not so open areas, you need infantry. Yeah? And when they are from the B phase, somewhere in the middle of the battlefield advancing, believe me, the C phase has already started. These are quite slow. You have to plan ahead, and yeah, then this very elite Panzergrenadier squads can protect them. Right. For faster reinforcements in the tank section, you have the Jagdpanzer force. And also the very good Stuk force, even also in C phase on higher veterans level. So because you will run out of points, because you need to save and you need to micromanage all these connected dots. Yeah, this leader, this commandant, the elephants, the flags, a little bit of infantry here and there, and maybe the IG 33 or the supply things. Yeah, you have not even the spare points to go in numbers here. So that's the idea, and this division is really good. Okay, now you can end the video if you don't want to hear a little bit about the elephant. The elephant was not always called elephant. In the beginning, it was called Ferdinand, and as homage on Ferdinand Porsche, yeah, the very constructor engineer of Porsche. And yeah, it was quite clear from the beginning of the Eastern campaign from 1941 onwards. Although most heavy tanks at this time, the T-34s, with their oblique armored scheme, were knocked out by Panzerjets, surprisingly, in 1941. Of course, it was clear that the Wehrmacht, the armored forces, were in desperate need for heavy tank hunters, or tank hunters at all. So yeah, the mission went out to the economy, to the companies, that they shall develop some tank hunters. 2 tank hunters were shown at 20th April of 1942. You guess because of the date who it was shown to, and on some live exercise somewhere in Germany. It was basically 2 prototypes. It was the Ferdinand and the Tiger tank hunter. Yes, it was designated first as a tank hunter in the beginning. Later it became redesignated, so to say, as the heavy tank vehicle number 6, as we know it of today. In the beginning, because the Ferdinand was difficult to produce, because it was quite a lot of work. Had to go to some compartments, and it was more work hours were put in some Ferdinands than, for example, in a Stuck, right? The Ferdinand had this is some elephant. Yeah? The Ferdinand had no machine gun here, had no commandant place here. This thing had weaker tracks, and this engine exhausts were also not that strong. So when over 1 year later, the the Ferdinand, sorry, 90 pieces of Ferdinand were produced and were gathered in 2 heavy tank hunter Abteilungen, and were sent to Operation Zitadelle in 1943 at the Eastern Front. So against all myth and legends, it says that yeah, because of the missing MG, it were easily knocked out by enemy infantry. I think 18 or 19 of the Ferdinand tank hunters were destroyed at Battle of Kursk. This is quite a high number, because only 90 were yeah, gathered, deployed into tank hunter Abteilungen. So later on, after the Operation Zitadelle, it was researched that just 20% of the 18 or 19 knocked out Ferdinand, so that's around 4 to 5, were knocked out by nearby enemy infantry. Most of them were knocked out by direct artillery fire, right? So 152 millimeters of Soviet artillery were hitting, detracking, demobilizing the tank hunter, or direct hits went into this engine here. The engine is here. The driver and the radio man are separated from the other 4 crewmen. I think the Ferdinand slash Elephant had 6 crewmen. Yeah, and very often it was only demobilized, also by direct engine hits. So when the crew bailed out, very often they yeah, blew their own tank up. After Operation Zitadelle, it was that the tank hunters were reformed. All the Ferdinands were re-equipped, transported to Germany, and when they were re-equipped and then were redesignated as Elephant. So they got this commandant place site, with a machine gun, better tracks. This exhaust were strengthened up, and some other protective things were done. Right. Also for Steel Division, it's necessary because you will draw artillery fire on you. You have to fall back a little bit. You have to pre-plan. You have to really to micromanage it. But if you can do it, you are normally you should be really rule the long range battlefield here, the open field. That was that. Thank you for your attention. I hope I could clear out everything about my channel and why I was not able to bring the content on the channel the last month like before. This will change. I will, yeah, and I hope I could show you why I like this division even more and more. Yeah, you can try it out. Have a nice day. Have a nice game, and I see you around. Bye bye.